serving as platform leader. Our music will be by various artists. Our message today will be delivered by Art Handy. Our affirmations and meditations by Eleanor Ferris. And Sam Jones, as always, is our technological wizard behind the scenes, making it all happen. Let's give them all a hand. Yay! It's fantastic. Our greatest desire is that you're inspired by today's service, by the music, the message, the meditations. You are a blessing to us. Once again, this month is the power of faith. And faith is a power to spiritually know, to trust absolutely, to believe with confidence and conviction. So with that power of faith, let's say our mission statement together. Inspiring spiritual transformation as a vibrant, diverse, and inclusive community. And with that same power of faith, let's say our statement of being together. There is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. Once again, we want to welcome everyone who is watching. We especially want to welcome those of you who are watching for the very first time. We are excited to have you join us. We are honored to have you be here. And we look forward to meeting you in person very soon. In fact, we want to all be together in person very soon. Unity is a worldwide ministry dedicated to the ongoing awareness of the Spirit within all. We invite you to consider our teachings if they work for you, if they fit into your life, wherever you may be on your spiritual journey. Keep what works for you and just gently release the rest. We will now bless everyone who is watching. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ as you, just as you are. We will now have our first prayer. Thank you.
So let's just take a moment to allow ourselves to settle a little and open our minds and open our hearts to true reality. And that true reality is that God is fully and completely present right where we are, fully and completely present in all places, in all spaces. There are no places where God is not present. And because God is present right where we are, it is the truth of us. God is the reality of us. God is the essence of us. God is our very existence. And we are grateful for this knowing. And as we avail ourselves to this knowing, it allows for all that is in God to flow in us and through us and as us. Infinite love, peace, wisdom, understanding, light are all ours simply by opening our minds, opening our hearts, and saying yes. Yes to love. Yes to wisdom. Yes to God. And we know and affirm a world that collectively says yes. Yes to blessings. Yes to love. Yes to life. Yes to substance. Yes to beauty. And as we say yes, we experience healing. We experience healing as individuals. We experience healing and reconciliation as a community. We experience healing in our country, healing in our world, simply by having a heartfelt resonance of yes. We say yes to God in this moment and moment to moment, always and in all ways. We are so grateful, and together we say, and so it is. Amen.
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God, you are every sunrise. God, you are every moon glow. God, you are every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every springtime. God, you are every snowfall. God, you are every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are the very breath I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Affirmations of oneness. I am one with all. We are one with all. I am one with all. We are one with all. The all of you is also me, and I love you. The all of you is also me, and I love you. The all of me is also you, and I love me. The all of me is also you, and I love me. We are the I am. We are the love. We are the I am. We are the love. Let's close our eyes if you haven't already done so. We close our eyes to move into a space, a familiar space, a shared space of creation. Meditation is about union and oneness with Source. Sometimes we focus on getting still when there is creativity required. Unique creativity with how you connect with Source. Oneness. We can use meditation to experience stillness, to experience the silence, to practice in concentration when we want to eliminate thoughts of distraction. Each of these are perfect tools for the same goal. Oneness with Source. Oneness found in the seed of our being. Did the seed come first or the tree? Blah, blah. Let it go. Be the seed. The seed is the center containing all nutrients, everything you need, everything we will use together as we grow closer in our oneness, the wholeness of our being. As we grow and stretch out our feet, our roots, nourished, choosing paths of nourishment. And we move together as a strong tree trunk. And we move together as we learn the wisdom of the branches. Trees speak to each other, you know. They are the oneness, and they know it. We're creating this harmony together now. Harmony that is found in the growth of a seed. Everything you need to bring love into this world. Everything you need to bring light, to become the bearer of light. To learn how to move with the wind and use the light. This oneness, this space that we share, we can move through our community. We can move the energy through our nation. Let's choose to move the energy of the connection with life, the connection of love. Let us move this energy in the silence together now. You are the light of the world. You know this. You are the light of the world. And only can conquer the darkness. Show people the light. Choose it with me. Choose it together. Please choose the unity principle of action. Our principles of oneness with action. Our principles of your divinity with your creativity in action. You have got this. And we have got this. Let's choose this. So may you take this light with you, this confidence you have, moving through your day, knowing you are a blessing and you are blessed. We say together, and so it is.
In this moment now, I lay all struggle down, searching for, wanting more. Now at last I'm free. These words are enough. This breath is enough. Oh, what joy to breathe the air of sweet relief, letting go offering this breath is enough. Once a veil of mystery, I close my eyes to see. Perhaps the greater plan is knowing that I am enough.
January 15th, 1929, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born. And so every January 15th is an acknowledgement of his birthday. And usually the third Sunday of January is the day that is designated as King Day, the day where we collectively take a pause and reflect and contemplate on the man, his mission, his message, and his accomplishments. And so tomorrow is King Day. And so we thought we would take this particular day to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who is a personal hero of mine. And I make it a life mission to study him intently, study his life, study his words. And usually once or twice a month, I'm on YouTube listening to a speech, or I'm on the internet reading a speech or reading something from a writing of his, because he's such a personal hero of mine. And in the world that we find ourselves in today, his message is more relevant than ever and deserves further study, further analysis, further contemplation. And I believe personally, if we were to get into the tone and the tenor of his message, and not just the words, there's much in the way of healing that is offered up to us for where we find ourselves right now in our world, with the things that are happening in our world right now, with where we are in the evolution of our species, what it is that is within our grasp to accomplish, as well as many of the conflicts that we find ourselves dealing with and seeing, and these challenging situations that we find ourselves in. There's much that he has to offer us. So I believe that it's very important to reflect on his words, not just on King Day, not just on Black History Month, which is next month in February, but throughout the year. There's something for all of us, for all of life. And I struggled to find a relevant quote that I wanted to use today, because there are so many that speak to me and many that we could draw from that are relevant to the times that we are living in, just as it was relevant to the times in which he uttered these words. However, what you see on your monitor is the quote from Dr. King that I chose to really reflect on this morning. When we look at modern man, we have to face the fact that modern man suffers from a kind of poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast to his scientific and technological abundance. We've learned to fly the air like birds. We've learned to swim the seas like fish. And yet, we haven't learned to walk the earth as brothers and sisters. A poverty of the spirit that hampers us and hinders us from walking the earth as brothers and sisters. So he's drawing a parallel between our scientific and technological pursuits and successes these things that we so often use as markers of our progress as civilization. But yet in our relationships, we find ourselves lacking to walk as brothers and sisters. And he attributes this failure to be in the fullness of our humanity relative to having a true realization as brothers and sisters. He attributes this to a poverty of the spirit. Now, those of us who are true students in unity, who understand the principle that God is all there is and that there's no place that God is not, we know that there can never be any lacking of the presence of God or lacking of the principle of God anywhere. However, there can definitely be a sense of distance between ourselves and a realization of God presence and God life. And that's the poverty of the spirit that I believe Dr. King is alluding to. A lack of a realization of our sacredness, a lack of a realization of the fact that we are indeed children of God or children of the light, a lack of awareness that we are more than just the flesh and bones in our bodies and our limbs and our faces and our hair and our accomplishments and our successes and the material conditions around our life. There is a spiritual dimension to our lives. And to the degree and extent that we can become aware of this and we can begin to grow and mature this awareness, we can understand who we truly are. And to the degree that we don't understand this, there's a sense of separation from God, or there's a sense of lack that's not real, but it's only that the level of our thoughts, the level of our beliefs, the qualitative state of our emotions are not reconciled with this high and holy realization. And so this made me reflect on a couple of words that I once read in the revealing word that I think are relevant to this discussion. And you see them there on the monitor. I call it moving from unity to union. And both of these are defined from the book by Charles Fillmore, The Revealing Word, which is a book of terms that are defined metaphysically, or they are defined relative to states of consciousness and relative to our connection with God. The first word there is unity. And Charles Fillmore defines unity as universal oneness of God, man, and all creation. The only real unity is in spirit. It is found nowhere else because personality always strives for its own success and aims for the good of the personal man instead of the good of all men, or the good of all of humanity, or the good of all people, or the good of all beings. So unity, the universal oneness of God, man, and all creation, or the universal oneness of God, humans, and all creation, that's the true nature of things. That's the reality of things. That's the hardwired divine design that in divinity, all is one. Now, just because that's the reality of things doesn't necessarily mean that is the experience of our lives, the everyday real experience of our lives. And so that moves to that second definition, union with God, unification of our consciousness with that of God mind. This is the Christ consciousness. So when our minds and our hearts are in alignment and in tunement and at one-ment with the reality of our divine sacredness, the reality of our true nature, which is divinity. Again, we spring from divinity, and we are divinity personified and humanized and individuated as each and every one of us. When we accept that in consciousness, when we claim that in consciousness, and we nurture that through an active in prayer and meditation life, and we speak the words of this unity and embody thoughts that claim this unity, we move from unity to union. Now we have actualized our union with God. We have actualized this unity in our lives. And so as we mature in this understanding, every aspect of our lives begins to come into God alignment. So we want to move from unity to union, and to the degree and extent that we are able to mature from unity to union, we are moving from spiritual poverty to spiritual awareness, spiritual poverty to spiritual abundance. This is the divine plan and design for each and every one of us. And to the degree and extent that we can do this, that sets us up to be able to begin to experience our oneness with God, not just know it and contemplate it and get a warm, fuzzy feeling from it. Now we can experience our oneness. We can be internally reconciled, and in turn, that gives us a basis to be reconciled with other people in all of creation. However, that's the rub, because it's very easy to believe that once I begin to catch this high and holy realization in consciousness, once I begin to become aware, my life has God meaning and God significance to it. And so does every other life and every other person and every other being and every other thing has God meaning and God significance to it. Once I begin to catch that, it is easy to believe that simply catching that realization is all I need to do. And that would be a mistake, because to experience oneness requires heavy lifting. To experience oneness means work. It means work on ourselves, work on our perceptions, work on our inner world, so that our inner world can be reconciled with the divinity that we are, and we can establish that union with God. We have to do our work in the subconscious. First, we have to do our work in the conscious and begin to address our thoughts and begin to deny those thoughts that are not in alignment with our true nature and our greatest possibilities in the things that we desire to see in the world. And it means to embody those thoughts, choose those thoughts, as Eleanor so beautifully elucidated in that meditation. We have to choose that oneness consciously. But then we have to move to the subconscious, which is the realm of our memory, the realm of our experiences, the realm of our prejudices, the realm of our dispositions, the realm of our deeper than conscious beliefs and perspectives, and do our work there to reconcile that, so that what is there is in alignment with the truth of who we are. And that's where the work is. That's where the work is. And sometimes we may not realize that we have to do the work in this realm of the subconscious. Yes, we want to open ourselves to a realization of our oneness with God. Yes, we want to open ourselves up to who we truly are. But that should be the catalyst of the spiritual journey. And then as we move on the spiritual journey, we have to do that work in the subconscious to address the things there, the biases, the prejudices, the dispositions, the perspectives, the insecurities, the fears, the emotional wounding, the evidence of trauma that is in the subconscious. Some of it will automatically heal from a realization and a recognizing of who we are. But some of it requires that we get in the weeds and get in the mess and really identify those things that are less than pleasing about ourselves, and begin to sit with them and begin to heal them. That's the work of oneness. That's the heavy lifting of oneness. And that is the work that is most sorely needed in our world today. It's easy to look at what happened at the Capitol a couple of weeks ago and wag our finger at the people that were there about the behavior that they exhibited in the moment and be upset about that. It's another thing to try to understand the deeper needs and the deeper motivations of what, and the deeper desperations of what caused that to begin with, and do that work in the collective subconscious so that we can heal it. And before we even do that, if I can look and identify and say, that happened because of a deep sense of insecurity, or that may have happened because of a deep sense of fear, before I get to wagging my finger, the first work that I need to do is turn inward and say, where might that insecurity, where might that fear, where might that discomfort, where might that sense of internal imbalance exist in me? In me. Again, if you have that one finger pointing, you have those three fingers that are pointing back at the self. Where might that exist in me? And then begin to do the internal work to reconcile things in the subconscious so that I can be more in alignment with my true and spiritual nature. And then begin to step out into the world and begin to be an assistance so that we can collectively do that. And that's what's missing. Doing the heavy lifting of the subconscious, doing the heavy lifting that oneness requires. It's not enough to just hold a realization in our mind of oneness and get warm and fuzzy feelings about it and think that that is enough. We've got to get messy. We've got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and be willing to sit with those things internally and sit with those things in the collective that are preventing us from having more of an experience of oneness and all that oneness entails. And this was the work that Dr. King was attempting to do. And I find it very interesting that in the later years of Dr. King's life, though we celebrate him and honor him today, and we love him today, in the later years of his life, particularly the last three, and especially the last one, the man was hated and despised. The president turned on him, the mainstream turned on him, and even the Black clergy turned on him. Why? Because he was having a greater realization of oneness. That greater realization of oneness, the oneness of all people, and the divine sacredness of all people, is what caused him to have the divine audacity to speak out against the Vietnam War. It caused him to have the divine audacity to start a poor people's campaign where he wanted to reconcile and lift all people, not just African Americans, but all people out of poverty, because he understood the need for people to be whole, because if people could be whole, then we could more develop and mature what he would call the beloved community. So doing all that work, it requires work, but it first starts in consciousness, first individually, and then collectively. It's what I call the heavy lifting of oneness. And I'm going to say this again. It's not enough to just contemplate oneness and get that warm and fuzzy feeling. We have to be able to move into uncomfortable spaces, have uncomfortable conversations, and be able to look and see the deeper than surface motivations behind why people exhibit what we call bad behavior. You don't like Black Lives Matter? You have a problem with Black Lives Matter? Let us start considering why people are saying Black Lives Matter in the first place. What are the deeper needs behind that? What is the sense of desperation that's causing people to move into a space where they would say that? What is the sense of desperation that will cause people to move toward the Capitol? And let's create a world that heals that, a world that is soul nurturing, a world that reflects the beloved community, so that people are whole internally. People feel into their oneness with God. And so they are in the position to live, as the saying goes, their best life so that no one is moved to a place of desperation to exhibit bad behavior in the first place. This is the place and the space where Dr. King was moving towards. And I believe that's why he was killed, because there was a certain agency that didn't want to see people out of spiritual poverty. I could go on with this subject for a while because it's something that I am so passionate about, and it is a personal sense of mission for me to help people realize their spiritual abundance, to help people realize the understanding of who they are in God, so that they can be the best version of themselves possible. But we have to do the heavy lifting of oneness. We have to do the sometimes messy work that is required to experience our oneness. And my good friend and colleague, Reverend Dr. David Alexander, who is the senior minister of the Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta, he puts it more bluntly than I could ever put it. Oneness without responsibility is cheap privilege. It's not enough to just talk oneness and feel oneness. We have to do the things in consciousness and do the things in the world so that oneness can be the everyday experience of us. So we have to accept the responsibility of oneness, accept the responsibility of who we are in God, and do that work in consciousness, and do that work in ourselves, do that work in our families and in our communities. Do that work in the classroom, the boardroom. Do that work in the world that allows us to go from unity to union with God. That is an active living of our oneness with God. As always, I hold you all in very sacred space, and into that space, I speak a simple word of prayer: life, light, and love to you all. God bless you.
Thank you, Art. We are certainly spiritually fed here at Unity of Wichita by the message, the music, the meditation, and by the love that we feel of unity. So please consider giving an offering or a tithe this morning. If you're viewing online, you can visit our donation page at www.unityofwichita.org/donations to give a secure financial gift. You can also mail your gift directly to the church at the address on your screen, 2160 North Oliver, Wichita, Kansas 67208, or you can bring it straight to the church if you want. Whatever amount you're guided to give, just visualize that electronic tithe and offering blessing, and just bless it with your love, and please join us in our offering blessing together. Divine love flowing from me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive, and I am grateful. Amen.
Right now, we will affirm our prayer protection. You'll see it there on the monitor, and then we will move into a vibration of peace. So let us affirm together. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.